How's it going? I'm Ryan. Today I'm going to go over the three trades I took on MNQ. The first two trades were losing trades. The third trade was a winner. It brought me almost back to break even. We'll take a look at all three of those in just a second. I'll go over a few of the things I was watching coming into the day. So we had the zone from 17,936 to 17,959, and then to the upside like 18,050, we'll call it, to 1830, 18,030. Bottom of that zone happened to be the exact high today. We got a really nice projection off that. Let's take a look at what happened, and we'll step down to a 5,000 tick chart here. Take a look at today. So we had the high and lows yesterday, but that didn't really come into play. We did get a pretty big gap up over the pre-market. So take a look at what we had. Market opened right around in here, and we're just kind of holding the bottom of this zone. From there, we started to trend upwards. We had some news kind of come out incrementally throughout the morning. You see this news at 8. During this moment, I wasn't really taking any trades, although that pullback was pretty nice for new highs on the day. Nonetheless, we had news come out at 8. You see this big spike, reject off this zone, come all the way down. This is where I took my first trade of the day, and it was a losing trade. I always like to kind of analyze and look in hindsight and see what may not have been great about the entry, or just taking the trade, etc. So let's take a look at why I took this trade first, and then we'll talk about how I entered, where I exited, etc. So we were in an uptrend. We gapped up. We've been trending up. We look at from the pre-market all the way through. We're trending up. Have broken the uptrend. We get a big news spike that gives us an initial push. We fall back, and we start testing this resistance turn support. So this resistance turn support is essentially the pre-market high. So we touched it here, we touched it here, and then once we broke above it, you see we kind of retest it here, retest it here, and we see that on a higher time frame as well. Kind of these swing highs, this swing low. We came down. We also had this trend line, and we started wicking off this area. I took a call here. I was hoping to see us push back up to about 18,000 or so, just that general area, top of that spike. From in here, a nice 25-point play or so. We got an initial little push, and then came right back down and stopped me out. My stop was, what is going on here? All right, excuse me, trader bait's tripping. My stop was right at this top of this zone. So when we broke through and came down here, I got stopped out. That was my first loss of the day. What went wrong? I think it was too soon after the news. I think it was a little too early. We're only less than a minute from news starting, so we already got a lot of volatility within that first minute. From 8 when it dropped right here, and if we look over here, that's 8:01, kind of right in this area. So just didn't let it get enough time. I should have given that news spike a little bit more time to play out. Not the worst idea, because we had those pre-market highs, we had that level of support, we had that trend line roughly in that area. We were showing some wicks on a lower time frame where we were coming down and buyers were stepping in. So not a terrible trade to take. I didn't enter at the perfect bottom of this. I entered somewhere in the middle here, around 17,973 or so. I entered right in the middle here. We got an initial little pop, like I said. It was up 15, 20 points, or not 20 points, 10, 15 points. And then we came crashing down. Like I said, I was kind of targeting this swing high here. So it didn't quite hit the target there. That was about a 2-to-1 risk reward, and got stopped out there for about 15 points to the downside. My second trade of the day, and this is the worst one that I took by far. Not a huge loser, but just the trade that I took itself is not great. So the second trade that I took were calls right in here. But if we look at a higher time frame, nothing really aligns. This is a pretty bad play. So we had broken this uptrend. We started trending down. In fact, we were in a downtrending channel. It's pretty clear. It's pretty evident. But we stopped making new lows. So here we put in a low, and then we kept trying this upper zone, or this lower zone, I guess. And we started to make, albeit pretty small, we started to make higher highs. Hopefully this chart comes back here for us. We started to make higher highs, and then we broke back into this zone. So we broke these swing highs. So we had higher lows and higher highs in this area. We didn't get the follow through on the 5,000 tick. You can see that we had that upper wick. That was actually a perfect rejection. That was a great entry for a short on this candle here, actually. But we broke into this zone and formed a hammer candle. I took a call and got stopped out. My zone was the top, or my target was the top of this zone, so about another 15 points. My stop loss was down here. I tried to give myself, about 10 points to stop down in here, which we got stopped out. So that was my second trade. That one was definitely ill-advised for what this one's worth. Not the worst trade. Didn't work out. This one was just not a good trade in general. So not a whole lot to go over there. Didn't have confirmation really. It was fighting the trend. Obviously the trend had shifted for a solid 30 minutes or so. Not a great idea. So those are my first two trades. I stepped away, came back later in the evening, or in the afternoon rather, and I took one last trade that almost got me back to break even. And let's take a look at that. So my third trade was calls right in here. So I came back, around afternoon. I saw that we had kind of formed a little bit of a double bottom, started pushing back up. We were in a little bit of a channel, and then we broke down to the downside. But this zone has acted as either support or resistance, depending on what side we were on. You can see resistance. Kind of chopped around in that area for a little bit. But what drew me in was these hammer candles on the 5,000 tick chart. So we got two of them coming down. It looked like we were going to get a nice recovery here. So I got into two calls on MNQ. Usually I'm only trading one contract. Let's take a look at where I entered. So I entered one somewhere right in here. Pretty good entry on it. And that was just after these two hammers had filled on this third candle when we were pushing down. I think it was this candle right here filled me. My second entry was once we had broken above this little, and I'll draw it so it's a bit more evident here. But we had a bit of a level right in here. So we had found support a few times in here, and here. Then we came down and we found some resistance, right? We tried it once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, 6 times, 7 times before we broke above it. Once we broke above it and we started to reclaim that, I entered another long position here. So one entry down in here, one right here once we broke above that and reclaimed it. So probably, I think on this wick here, potentially on the 5,000 tick. Yeah, that would have been it. My targets. So my initial target was right in here. Kind of this, I'll draw another level so we can take a clear look at that and we can see kind of why I was watching that. So one of my levels was right in here. That's because we had some resistance, turn support, turn resistance, vice versa. We were flipping back. So one candle came up and wicked it. My second level was right in here. So just kind of the top of these wicks, the top of this range. I didn't get my second fill, so I got my first fill. I took 2 contracts, like I said. My stop loss was down here. As we started pushing up, I kind of gradually moved my stop loss up until we hit this take profit, and I only had 1 contract remaining. From that point, I just started moving my stop loss up and kept my take profit up here. I moved my stop loss up. Once we were at this candle, I put it 2 wicks below. So I put it right down in here, and this pullback right here stopped me out. So we would have gotten pushed up and hit the ultimate target. You know, ideally that would have been another like 20 points or so, which would have been nice. It would have had me positive overall in the day, but nonetheless, this was probably my best trade of the day. You know, forming hammers at a strong level of support, and riding that back up to the top of the range. So that was it. That almost brought me back. Had I not gotten stopped out, I would have had a really nice run on this. But I'm not mad about getting stopped out. You know, I wanted to keep bringing my stop up and make sure that I locked in whatever profit in case that we did pull back, because it was kind of middle of the day and we did have some chop. So I didn't want to play it. Didn't want to get too greedy. I was already up, you know, 20 points or whatever. So overall, pretty solid. That's it. That's how I ended my week. So real small red day. We'll come back and try to perform a little better next week. We had a slip up this week. Started pretty strong. Middle of the week, kind of threw it all out of whack. And then yesterday and today we're, I guess, just playing catch up. But we'll look to keep adjusting, keep taking what we've learned and apply it next week. And hopefully we come back swinging. That's all I got for you. Thank you for watching. I do trade live Monday through Friday, so I'll be here. If you want to stop by, please do so. Love to have you. That's all I got. Have a great day. Peace.